Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the post-match press conference after round 6. Congratulations, Jake.
Thank you, Lunga. Hi, Jake. That was a tough one, and obviously going into this game, having to make changes so late with the illnesses that hit your team. Can you just tell us what exactly happened to your team? Are there more players that are ill? And just your thoughts on how they close it out with that kick by David.
Yeah. So, Enemy, it's the first time in a long time. I mean, I wouldn't say it's never happened, but we had to make significant changes. I mean, you don't often change your quarterback, if we use that analogy, and then all of a sudden, we got Johan Person is injured. We got Jaco van der Walt's injured. And then we got Butter now all of a sudden got sick. I don't know what it is. He just got really, really sick, cold shivers. And so we had to put him on a drip. And then literally, sort of 3 hours before kickoff, decided we're going to go with Keegan at 10, which meant we had to change our 9 as well because he was covering 9 and 10. And then we had to change our bench because all of a sudden we didn't have a reserve 10 if something happened. So, what I'm really happy about, Enemy, is that we found a way to adapt. Often sporting teams talk about you got to adapt and you got to be aware that you can't always control everything. And to get a result like that at the end of the game, obviously you can imagine the change room is obviously very, very buoyant and very happy, and a guy like Keegan is obviously over the moon that he could contribute, or as a starter as a 10. There was a minute and a half left and we ended up winning the game. So, you can only feel proud when you see your players, doing that at the end of a game.
Yeah, it was clearly not the normal game that we're all used to from the Bulls. It was clear that it was very tough. Didn't dominate much of the game. So congratulations, Jake. I think this was a tough one.
Andy. Yeah, it was tough, but sometimes you got to win ugly. Sometimes you got to, I just think that they don't allow you to play much. I mean, you saw what happened with the Sharks. They kept the Sharks trialists as well, I think. I mean, they're a really good defensive team. They a lot of internationals in their team. So yeah, it was. I mean, it's obviously very pleasing because we were staring down the barrel for most of that game, and then we found a way to win. And often, you talk about sporting teams around the world. When you can find a way to win in a game like that, you can only be proud of the players.
Jake, congratulations. I think is in order. Talking about the dressing room, what was said at the end of the first half, because you dominated all the stats and everything, but you were still behind after those 2 early penalties?
The message just was, we haven't even started playing properly and we're 9-3 down, and we could have quite easily been 9-6. We missed a penalty. So I just said to them, you got to believe you're going to win, and you got to believe once we start playing, we'll put them under pressure. And we could have, we got a disallowed try with Kanan, got a line break where we didn't finish with Kanan, where Kirtley went through. So we could have quite easily scored 4 tries in that second half. And I was just very positive about the fact that we hadn't started playing rugby. We made that first kickoff. We gave them 3 points from the kickoff. So we had given them literally 9 points on a plate, and we hadn't played any rugby. We hadn't got going. We looked nervous. So yeah, Carl, the message was quite simply just believe you can win. Start playing rugby. Start getting some sets together in terms of attack. And when we did that, we put them under pressure. So obviously, as I said to Enemy, I'm very, very happy that we could pull that one through, because sometimes you need a little bit of hope. And you need a little bit of that kind of win, because it just changes the mood of the team going into the next block.
And what was the discussion? You said it was quite buoyant in the dressing room at the end of the match. What did you tell them there?
Oh, well, I suppose the most important thing is that with a minute left, if you really believe you can win, then you will win. If I had a couple of players on the field that started doubting that we were going to lose that game, we probably would have lost it. So I praised them by the sheer ability that I picked up, that everyone was saying we're going to win this game. We lost last week, and at 15-10, we could quite easily have just chucked in the towel and said, oh, here we go again. We're going to go home tomorrow and we've lost 2 on tour. So I just praise them about the fact that if there's a belief and if you really genuinely believe as a group that you can win a game, even if there's a minute left, you will find a way. And that's what happened tonight.
Jake, congratulations. You've said many times 2 years ago you would have lost this game. I think you've proven your point here. But we talked earlier this week about scenario planning, and I've watched David Kriel and Keegan Johannes take shots at goal after practice and the likes. Scenario planning paid off this week, didn't it?
Exactly, Mvia. I mean, I can't praise David enough. I mean, he plays 10, he plays 12, he plays 13, he plays 14, he's played 15 for us in big games. He's kicked goals for us when we've needed, and tonight's probably the biggest goal that he's kicked for us to win the game. So he's growing as a player. I mean, I looked at a stat which is phenomenal, and we're busy doing our honors board in our change room, and I think at this point in time, he's almost got 106 games of rugby for the Bulls, which is incredible. If you put all the Curry Cup and the Rainbow Cup and all those sort of games together, he's played over 100 times for the Bulls. And at the age of 24, that's phenomenal. So I'm happy for him. I mean, I can't praise him enough. And I'm talking about as a player. He's a professional. He trains hard. He's as I said, he's so versatile. You guys call Jan Hendrik the Swiss knife. I mean, he's, if he's a Swiss knife, he's probably the leather man. So the leather.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm happy for him because I think he's worked so hard at his game. For him to kick that winning kick for us in the 4th year of his time with us at the Bulls is obviously going to make him such a better player.
And his best position, do you think? You've played him at wing and inside centre, outside centre, fullback. Maybe he's a fly-off.
Well, it was nearly tonight, Mvia. It was nearly happening. It was one of the debates I sort of had with the coaches. I thought maybe what we do is we just start him at 10 and put Harold at 12. And that was because we thought the rain was going to come earlier, and we thought then we're just going to a defensive mindset and basically just play guys that can defend well and keep them out. So it was an option. And that's how much confidence we have in him. I mean, that's, for us to put him at 10, we wouldn't be worried about it because he has the skills and he has the understanding of rugby. In fact, tonight, I actually said to him, you need to talk more than you've ever spoken tonight because Keegan's going to need to hear your voice all the time. And, between him and Kanan, they were very, very vocal on trying to help Keegan because you can imagine, it's like, as I said, you lose your quarterback and you don't lose him in the beginning of the week. You lose him literally 3 hours before kickoff. It can put a lot of pressure on a young guy. So I'm even happy for Keegan as well because other than the missed goal kick, I thought he was really solid.
Well, again, congratulations, Jake. You pulled this one out of the fire. Well done.
Thank you. Thanks, Mvia. Thank you.
Jake, in some ways, we're used to the Bulls playing this wonderful attacking rugby, Loftus on a hard pitch and sunny skies. But in many ways, does a win like tonight mean a bit more even because the growth of the team and looking ahead to the future and getting over that line in terms of a trophy?
Exactly, Ashfaq. I'm so glad, and again, I mean, I respect the fact that we like to play on hard fields. We got people that can run from everywhere. We got, we've scored the most points in the competition for 3 years in a row. Tonight, we found another way of winning a game. And, don't underestimate, we scored 2 tries with 1 disallowed. They didn't score a try. So there's a lot more positives as well that we can take out. Is defensively how strong we were, attacking wise, how many opportunities we created with a different style of game that we had to play. Especially as I said, without a quarterback who's not seasoned in that role, and that'll just make you stronger and stronger and stronger because it just means one of the things I said when I joined the Bulls is we know what our DNA is, we know what our supporters want, we know what people expect from the Bulls, and that's never going to change. But we've got to find different ways to play the game, and tonight we found another way to play the game, and that means that the players will take a lot of confidence because they themselves will know that we can't always rely on our running game. We're probably going to have to find another way to roll up our sleeves and You know, one of the messages for the players tonight, before we kicked off, is Keegan's at 10. He's not going to talk a lot. He doesn't want the ball unless you think it's good ball. So if you have to put the ball up your jumper and hold on to it for as long as you can, that's what you're going to have to do. And, you know, credit to Ulrich Lowe as well. I thought the way he captained tonight for a young captain, because he is a young guy, was outstanding. The calmness, the way he communicated, the way that he, you know, one of the interesting things is first time in a long time, he went off for stitches and took the radio from the doctor and asked me about what he thought we needed to change. I mean, I've never experienced that where a guy's getting stitches and he's busy talking to the coach about what he thinks we should do. So just shows a lot of maturity from his side.
Just a quick one on Keegan. You see this solid day. The conditions were so tough, and you know the drills and all of that. And I thought he kicked also really well tactically. Got some good distance to push him back a bit.
Yeah. No, Ashwak, you know, I know he was a 10 at school and he had played 10 before. So I mean, I said to him, let's put him in the deep end and see how he goes. And, you know, I know the result is one of those results. Had we lost, you guys would probably ask me different questions. But, you know, I've seen a lot of teams that have gone on to win competitions, win games like that. And they take a lot of confidence out of that because you rearrange your backs, you rearrange your structure, and sometimes these wins, as you quite rightly say, Ashwak, they're much bigger for the other, you know, the other peripheral factors than it is just the scoreboard. So we're very happy with pulling that one out of the fire, and we're very happy with the way that the guys who had to adapted.
Jake, you must be chuffed that that the guys didn't get a red card this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, in all seriousness, a guy like Reinhard Ludwig also had a great game. Should have had 2 tries. And yeah, what went through your mind when Davey hit that kick through the poles?
Yeah, look, Ludwig's growing and growing and growing. He reminds me a lot of Ruan Nokia, and I'm saying that from a point of view that he's now the line-out caller. He's responsible for, and our line-out wasn't good, guys. Our line-out wasn't good, and it doesn't matter whose fault it is, whether it's the throw, the reaction of the jumper, whether the lifter's not understanding the call, whether the caller is calling to the wrong place because he's under pressure. So I was very happy with Reinhard Ludwig, and the only way he's going to learn is to be in that situation. Let's not forget he's competing against an Italian lineout. I mean, there's Italian, both those locks have played for Italy. So I was happy with him, and what went through my mind, I genuinely, when we were 10-12 down, I actually said to the coaches, you know, David been practicing a lot of these long range penalties this week. And I said, won't it be interesting, or won't it be, won't it be a surprise if David gets a penalty? Because we've taken the kickers off. We had no Buta then, and we had no Keegan. And I said, won't it be a stroke of luck if David hits a penalty from the halfway line and kicks it over? So, you know, it wasn't the penalty that won us; it was the conversion. So, I'm obviously, I sort of predicted it, and I mean that I sort of was hoping that would be the end result, and it ended up being a try and a conversion. So very, very happy with that.
Thanks, Jake. Travel safely home and enjoy the break.
Thanks so much, guys. Thank you, eh?